Unlike Samuel Insull, most of the North Shore aristocracy lived close to the lake. Perhaps the most aristocratic of all the lakefront suburbs was Lake Forest. No less an authority than F. Scott Fitzgerald put Lake Forest in the same league with Newport, Southampton, and Palm Beach. Fitzgerald made several visits to Lake Forest to court a local debutante named Ginevra King. She spurned him in real life, so he captured her in his novel, The Great Gatsby, where she appears as Daisy Buchanan. Lake Forest's first millionaires were puritanical Protestants with New England roots. Edith Rockefeller, daughter of America's richest man, married Harold McCormick, son of the famous farm implement maker. They built Villa Turicum. America's second richest man, Chicago meatpacking heir J. Ogden Armour, built Melody Farm on 1,000 acres in Lake Forest. The driveway was 2 miles long. Today, it's Lake Forest Academy. This enormous lakefront estate was a wedding gift from the president of Marshall Field's, John G. Shedd, to his daughter Laura in 1915. She married a banker named Charles Schweppe. The U.S. ambassador to Cuba, Noble Brandon Judah, modeled his house on a French Norman country inn. David Adler designed this Greek revival house for a newlywed couple. The groom's father was A.B. Dick of Lake Forest, who invented the mimeograph machine. He stumbled on the idea in 1884 while he was experimenting with wax paper and went into business with Thomas Edison. Unwincea Country Club was the North Shore's most exclusive. It hosted nationally recognized golf championships, polo matches, horse shows, steeplechases, and hunts. And then, of course, there was Mr. T. The star of the 80s TV show The A-Team bought Twin Gables, which David Adler had designed for Lawrence Armour, and over a 2-week period in the spring of 1987, he deforested the 7-acre property. Mr. T often wielded the chainsaw himself, cutting down more than 100 oaks, maples, and pine trees. The local paper called it butchery, and neighbors used words like desecration. The actor told reporters he was allergic to trees. Thanks to Mr. T, you can't cut down a tree on your own property in Lake Forest today without a city permit. Mr. T no longer lives in Lake Forest. The home's present owner plans to replant the trees. For all its exclusivity, Lake Forest had modest beginnings as a college town. Presbyterian ministers established Lind University here in the 1850s, named for the school's benefactor Sylvester Lind. He was actually the minister's second choice. They turned down money from their original benefactor after discovering he made his fortune distilling whiskey in Cincinnati. Lind University eventually became Lake Forest College. The ministers also rather uncreatively named the town after the forest to the west and the lake to the east, and they hired a St. Louis landscape architect named Almer & Hotchkiss to lay out the town. Like the planners of other North Shore suburbs, Hotchkiss chose to follow the natural contours of the ravines and forests, creating roads that wind through town with what the Michelin Guide to Chicago calls calculated leisure. Like anyone else, people who lived in mansions needed hardware and groceries. To serve those more mundane needs, a working-class area grew up along the railroad tracks in Lake Forest. Some of the businesses were owned by African Americans, like Samuel Dent's Livery Service. Lake Forest's present-day First Baptist Church can be traced back to the African Americans who worked as local merchants as well as live-in servants on the estates.
Lake Forest is about as far as you can get from middle-class suburbia, so it's interesting that one of the cliches of suburban life, the shopping center, was arguably invented here in 1916. If only today's shopping centers looked like this.
Howard Van Doren Shaw designed Market Square. He was already a successful and respected architect when he was hired to transform the unglamorous area around the Lake Forest train station. According to authors Arthur H. Miller and Shirley M. Paddock, it was the first ever town center designed around the automobile. Critics raved about the understated design that mixed Tudor, arts and crafts, and neoclassical elements. The innovative plan resembled an English town market. Shaw built his own home in Lake Forest. He called it Ragdale. The arts and crafts style design reflects his love of nature. Today, it's an artist's retreat founded by Shaw's granddaughter. The monsters of the Midway would seem an odd fit in polite Lake Forest, but the Chicago Bears have made their home here since 1979. Their new Halas Hall and pristine practice facility opened in 1997. It's named for Bears founder and legendary head coach George Halas. Astronaut Jim Lovell lives in Lake Forest. He commanded the ill-fated Apollo 13 mission. Tom Hanks played him in the movie. Lovell flew a total of 4 space missions, including the first journey to leave the Earth's gravity and orbit the Moon, Apollo 8. After leaving the space program, Lovell became a business executive and Lake Forest restaurateur.